Start a short talk back and then Q&A. So I'm going to introduce our panelists and I'm going to ask you all to come up as well now. So first we are going to have Dr. Alvaro Huerta, who is an associate professor of urban and region planning and ethnic and women's studies at Cal Poly Pomona, and you'll recognize him from the film. We'll also be joined by June Berk, who you will also recognize from the film and who is a longtime JANM volunteer and, of course, storyteller and dancer, which hopefully we'll hear a little about. So I think, is June coming down? Okay. Wait 1 second for June. And of course, our filmmaker, Patricia Nazario, who is an accomplished international journalist and, of course, the filmmaker behind this film. And I realized I failed to introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Yamaguchi. I'm the Director of Public Programs here at JANM. So along with Jim, thank you. And our other staff, I want to give a special shout out to Sophia and Elizabeth, who also helped out with this today. I'm behind putting on the programming for the Smithsonian Initiative, so I'm really excited to join you. I'm going to ask if we can tap... June? Did you see her? She's coming in now? Okay. So we have June's coming in now, but I think we should just get started while we're waiting for her. So I want to start with you and just kind of the origins of this film. I mean, I think you tell so many incredible stories, but just the food trucks and what made you want to start with this film.
So basically, it was I was on a day of story, just an assignment. I was a local news reporter at that time, and I just saw more to the story. And what I saw was that really personal side of wanting to not really personify the trucks, but just bring to life the people who we've all interacted with, on some level for decades. You probably know them from your own neighborhood, and just wanted to bring that story to life and fill it with dignity. So I wanted to do that, especially as that pop culture part was booming. Yeah, for the backstory.
Yeah.
Hi, June.
Oh, we have June now. Everyone, this is June Berk. And Dr. Huerta, yes, on your behalf, I mean, you were approached about this film, and I think that we all saw that the story of the food trucks, like, it's the draw that we brought us all in. Of course, we ate some delicious food before this, but it obviously tells a much richer story and a more expansive story of Los Angeles, of race, of class. And so just kind of want to get your initial impressions on coming into this project and what you saw as the opportunities for telling these stories with this narrative.
Oh, the lights reminds me of the cops when they used to pull me over in Bow Heights.
PTSD.
I'm getting flashbacks. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for hosting this film. And actually, with the museum, I was here about, thinking like 2000. We had, the museum held a beautiful exhibition with the Japanese-American gardeners. And this is actually kind of related to this. That's why I love this film. So in 1996, the city of LA banned leaf blowers. And for over 100 years, the Japanese immigrants, Japanese Americans were the pioneers, and they led this sector. And then the Mexicans who kind of took over that. And the city of LA to ban leaf blowers. And I'm bringing this up because it kind of reminds me of this idea of these people are entrepreneurs, And a lot of times the reason Japanese were went into gardening is because of there was a law passed in the 1920s to prohibit them from owning land because they were beating the white farmers in farming in California. So there was a way they kick them out, right? So gardening was a way to kind of make a living outside of the formal market. So 1986, 6 months in jail for using a leaf blower, $1,000 fine and a misdemeanor. Just like in the documentary, this is what drew me to when Patricia reached out in terms of my work with informal economy, with gardeners and Latina immigrants and entrepreneurship. And to me, I saw like this correlation in terms of, it's not just about being immigrant, because the Pilgrims were immigrants too. It's about being racialized. And it's about these waves of discrimination. And we see these waves come with like Asian Americans, how it comes in waves, in the last one during COVID with Trump. So for me, it was about the contradiction or the hypocrisy of American society, of white America, when they look at, especially with Latino immigrants and Latina immigrants, it's like, wow, you don't value education, you're into drugs, you're into gangs, and blah, blah, blah. And then when they become entrepreneurial, then they're being punished too. So it's like, what do you want us to do, right? Like, we're here trying to make a living, because when people migrate, not only do they bring their bodies, but they bring their culture too, and their foods and their traditions. So that's being exhibited in the documentary here. So even the trucks is not just like a Mexican truck; it's from Nayarit. It's like a specific place. In the flavors of that place for the people. So when I was seeing the organizing, I know, Victor, we organized together with the gardeners. To me, it was very natural. And what I love about the story overall, because Patricia's going to buy me some tacos after, if I say good things about the. What I love is how she humanizes these individuals, these entrepreneurs. Like, we see their family, we see the tragedies, we see them as human beings first, not truck drivers, or not like food vendors. That's what we do, but that's not who we are. So this is kind of what drew me to it, like the humanity of it, and this is something we don't see like in the news and when we're talking about the case of Latinos and Latinas and immigrants in particular.
Thank you. Not just thank you. Tacos.
Yeah, there you go.
I hope that everyone got a chance to eat a little bit before. I know when we were previewing the film, I was like, I'm so hungry after watching this film. But June, I think that ties really well into you. I know a lot of the work you do at JANM, and in this is telling your story to humanize this larger history. And I think it's really appropriate. Today is December 8th, and you talked about December 7th in your in this portion of your portion of this film. So I would love if you could just talk a little bit about, your experience telling your story and using your own personal story to tell this larger history. And I also know there was a note about connecting the Japanese American experience and the food experience a little bit to the film as well, if you want to share on that.
Well, I'm kind of thinking that as watching this film from the first time I saw it, I can't help but think about our immigrant parents and how hard everybody works. Not only the fathers, the mothers, everybody has to work hard. My father came here to America in 1899 as part of the railroad, building the railroads. The Chinese were here first, and then they were stopped from coming over in 1893, and then my dad came over in 1899 to help build railroads. And then somehow he made his way down to Los Angeles and was one of the first gardeners. And you talk about gardeners. Well, my dad, the way he tells it to me, was we didn't have trucks, so we had to grab a wheelbarrow. Well, first he grabbed a lawnmower and walked down Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard. And whenever they see a big lawn, they go up there, ring the doorbell. And they say, we'll cut your lawn for 50 cents. So then they cut the lawn, and then they have to leave the pile of grass there. Then they walk their lawnmowers back to their house. Then they grab a burlap bags and wheelbarrows. Then they wheel that back, and then they clean up the leaves and the grass. And that was gardening. And they go back and forth. There's no trucks. So I think it just reminded me how hard these parents were working for. The mothers are working in the trucks, the fathers are there, everybody's there pitching in. And I think I guess that's the American dream. That's what they came over for, is to give their children a better life, hopefully, and they're willing to work at it. They're willing to do whatever it is that they can do. And that's what this film reminded me about that.
And what was that you were telling me in the back about the old Japanese trucks with the fish trucks that would go from house to house?
Oh, yeah. Well, we had our own taco trucks, only we sold fish. A man would come by in a truck, and he would, you would say you want a pound of sashimi. But there was also in his truck groceries, fruits and vegetables. And so he would go from neighborhood to neighborhood. And we would, the kids and the families, everybody would run out to the truck because the fishman was here. In those days, we called it fishman, not taco trucks. So and it sort of reminded me about that too in this film. So I think each culture brings something to America and makes it into an American thing. And I think that's what is so fun and wonderful about what we do, what we all bring. So that kind of stopped in when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and then we were sent to camp. But there was a lot of discrimination then too against the Japanese. But it's interesting, like my brother, when we went to camp, he had to have Pachuco pants. He had to have his pants made into a Pachuco style. And he was really disappointed because he couldn't get all his pants done like that. So then in camp, when he went out to buy ice for the people in camp, he found a store where you could buy a Pachuco hat. So he went the full route of a zoot suiter in camp. And I have pictures of that. But I think you can't help but take from each culture. And that's what's so fun. Yeah.
I mean, I think with that, this film blends so many. I think you talk about it when you first think of a food truck, you think of the taco truck, but this is so expansive across cultures, across different groups. So I'd love if you could talk a little bit about why that was important to you and include, and then also just all the different vignettes, including the animated portion that you made sure to include, and the vignettes like June's that were in it. Why was that important to include, and how did you think about blending that into the larger story?
Yeah, so starting with the vignettes, that was part of like my original concept for the film. I wanted it to be broad-reaching and kind of just using the food trucks as sort of the vehicle, so to speak. And so I knew June's son, and I was talking to them about the idea of these vignettes, and he said, well, you know, my mom. And that's how that started. And then another PA on the project found Arnett Hartsfield, and I went to a picnic at Elysian Park, and I found Bobby Rodriguez. So I sought them out, and I thought that they served really well. In the end, this will be the educational version, so it's going to be in universities and cultural centers and stuff, but probably not streaming. So ideally, when it's distributed, there will be streaming or like broadcast and then educational. And this one is about 12 minutes longer. And then they're equally produced in Spanish in both. So really at the end of the day, it's like releasing 4 films. Yeah, so a bit hairy at this point. So, and then the other idea about why food trucks are like the broad reaching.
Yeah, and just kind of the way that you blend so many different stories into one, and your approach to kind of developing out these different storylines and bring them together.
Yeah, and the animation I thought I wanted to do. Martin here, he's the composer, the musician who did all the music, original music for that, and largely with his own handmade instruments. And that was an idea that came out of consulting, how to collapse the distance between the history and present day authentic food off of the traditional trucks, was to tell that in a quick animation, which took me almost 3 years to produce. It was not quick, but I love it. It's like high quality, and I love the music. It was well worth it. So that served that purpose of just trying to, without having to get into a whole lot of words, just let people know where this food comes from and how valid it is, even with the names of foods, avocado and guacamole and even tacos, nopal, all that stuff is those are the Náhuatl words. And then the other thing about being so broad-reaching with the idea of telling a food truck story was because at that point it had become a phenomenal, like an international phenomenon, this boom, and just to contextualize it. So being able to say, hey, it is true, every city you go to, we went to Amsterdam, the film played in Paris, and along the way we stopped in Amsterdam and there was a food truck. And in Paris too. So it is true. You do see them, and just to be able to tell a story that people would have an entry point and let it be food, and then hopefully bring up these other more weighty conversations. Not necessarily negative, but it's definitely more in depth.
Yeah, definitely. I know we only have limited time, so I want to make sure we open it up to audience questions. So if anyone has any, we'll run the mic over. I'll pass. Oh, Sophia has one. I think we have a couple up there. Right there. And of course, if any of our panelists have responses to each other, please feel welcome to jump on in.
Do you have anything else, Dr. Huerta?
Yeah, I don't.
You talked about Elysian Park. You could do a whole series on Elysian Park. That park is so full of different cultures. I remember when I was a child, we had each prefecture had its own picnic in Elysian Park with their own food, their own dancing, their own culture. And you go to each one because it's so much fun, and they make it fun for the kids. When you said Elysian Park, it reminded me of those prefecture picnics that we used to have before World War II started. And every family would spread a blanket and bring their own food. Mm-hmm. And they would say, come and sit with us and eat our food. It's terrible, but, please enjoy yourself. And everybody would say, oh, it's really good. And then the woman would always say, oh, it's terrible, but I'm glad you enjoy it. That was the culture.
I don't know if Dr. Huerta, if you had anything else.
Oh, I just appreciate the stories and the fact that food is brings people together. In terms of how we come together, whether it's Italian or Mexican or Japanese or Chinese. Whatever the food is, it's like universal, like music. So that's what I really love about this type of documentary, and even showing the sacrifices the workers make. Like, it's just so hard. Like, they just nonstop, and we have to, instead of for government, instead of punishing them, they should add relief. Instead of adding another burden to them and making their life miserable. And then for those of us who believe in social justice, racial justice, is to be critical, and to see what brings us together is really, our diversity, and not the opposite. And you talk about, like, your brother, those are beautiful stories. As most of you know, there was a time where Japanese and Mexicans and Italians and Jews lived together in Bow Heights, and before the camps, they were like 30%, 25% were in Roosevelt and Garfield, and then when they got sent to camps, it was, you see the absence of them. but in mingling with the youth, especially how they shared their culture, among themselves. They spoke in a certain way, and it wasn't about you're Japanese or I'm Mexican. It was about like we're from the same neighborhood, but sharing that culture. And you see right now, you go to Japan, there's good documentaries on this where they have lowriders over there, and they have like these gang cultures, or not necessarily gang culture, but the just that type of adaptation. That's what I really appreciate. We see this also with African Americans and Latinos in South LA. It's like hybridity, how we come together, versus like the divisions that are obviously there, and people prey on that. So that's really what I love about the food part. And then you see like the gentrification actually taking place in the food trucks themselves, right? Where like some are accepted now because white people are doing it. So like now they're acceptable, But when it's like Mexican immigrants, there's still like, so you still see like the class issue, play out, unfortunately.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have an audience question.
Yeah. Okay. So I really liked Dr. Huerta's comment about one of the objectives of the movie was to really humanize the people working at these food trucks. And that was really made clear to me when I saw my good friend's late father as one of the people in the interview. So it's a bit of a bummer that, there's no plans to stream it, but I'd really love him in particular, the son, to see this film. So I was just wondering, like, what are the other plans to have these screenings at?
Yeah, thank you for that. No, there aren't plans to stream it. Just that I'm going to launch a crowdsourcing campaign. So crowdfunding's coming up. So be in touch. Go to backstreetfilm.com and get on the newsletter. And I hope to have that out in about 2 weeks. It's going to be on Seed and Spark. Thank you. It's a kind of Kickstarter, but it's directed to indie films. And we have a pretty big gap. It's a pretty big uphill battle to get it out because at least 2 films, likely 4 if I do the educational versions, in English and Spanish. So they don't all have to be released at once. They may come in waves, but it's going to take it's just going to take money and time, and we're just looking for support and people who believe in the concept, who are like-minded, who want to see this go out into the world and be in universities. Every time it's played in like 14 universities, and there's a lot of interest. They always want to know when can they have it. So definitely there are plans to get it out. We just need more support. If you know anybody, any companies who want to become sponsors, come up and talk to me. Yeah, otherwise, follow us online, social media at backstreetfilm.com.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have another question up here at the top.
Well, comment question. Congratulations, Patricia.
Thank you.
If you can tell us how long it took to, because I remember when you started, and then, just recently through social media, I saw this screening, which is great, and also when I was watching the film, it reminded me this documentary by actually the Japanese American Museum, Boyle Heights, precisely where you have these different communities living together, and something that I've been noticing lately is all this proliferation of taco stands in the sidewalks everywhere. And I'm a big taco, fan since I was, very young. But then, and always the smell of barbecue, attracted me. But then, with this crisis and war in Gaza, I was listening to BBC, one of the rescue workers there saying that Gaza smelled like a barbecue. Yeah, so the power of words, right? So all these different issues, they interconnect, right? That perhaps food, music, art united us more than divided us. So, it's just a wonderful film, and congratulations, because you were able to capture that essence of community, right, and sharing and history through Mesoamerican times to the 21st century Los Angeles, a global city, right, where everybody comes and everybody wants to be here. And it is true. Now you find taco trucks all over the world, pretty much, right? And I always think of you when I see those taco trucks in different parts, because I remember when you started, but I cannot remember the year. But in the footage, in the film, you see all these politicians that are no longer there. But the taco trucks are still there.
That's true. And it's not funny. Gloria Molina has passed, and so did Tom LaBonge. So yeah, may they rest in peace. I started it in 2010, and we had our world premiere in August of 21. June was there with her family. And so we've been doing film festivals and educational screenings for the past 2.5 years. So it's won like Best Food Film, Best Film, Highland Park here locally, San Antonio Film Festival, Best Film and Best Food Film. Played in Paris and New York, Newport Beach, Sonoma. We had a fun run. So it took 10 years, and that's a whole different story. But a lot of it was me learning on the job. So I thought I had been a one-man band TV reporter and then a one-man band news reporter for NPR, and I thought, I know how to shoot video, I know how to edit audio, I can do a documentary. And then I did a whole lot of YouTube University in between. So yeah, that was basically it. Thank you.
I know, what an incredible accomplishment. And thank you for the shout out to the Crossroads film, which is actually also available on YouTube, but the JANM Media Arts Center did, that talks about Boyle Heights and Boyle Heights as a cross-cultural neighborhood. So that's a really special project for us. I think we're almost out of time. I know, it goes by so fast, but I want to give you all a chance for any last comments. I think I would love to hear a little bit about how it's been such a long process to create this film, but how does it resonate today? Kind of like what lessons can we be taking from it to move forward with? I think we're in a really charged time. So yeah, I would just love to hear from you all kind of what are your takeaways from this film, and do you have any last reflections before we go out into the world, eat some good food?
Dr. Huerta, you want to start?
Hello. Well, I think at the end of the day, it's just, we're all human beings. There's no such thing as like races, and so it's only one planet, one human race. And what I love about this documentary, it shows like the humanity, whether you're white, black, Asian, Latino, like we're all one human race, and we need to support each other. What also, because of my own background being Mexican American, and is what I love about it is just to show the entrepreneurship that we rarely see in terms of the case of Mexican Americans and other Latinos through food truck vending, and whether politicians listen or not, or whatever their self-interests are, in terms of selling out their own communities, we just need to support entrepreneurship, and where these individuals, it's like you were saying, there's a lot of sacrifice to get here, and this is all they know how to do, and we should support them instead of punishing them. And this is educational in that sense, right? So even without, like when you put it in the schools, you're going to include the vignettes, but overall, to me, it's just the power of storytelling and the humanity that comes out of it. So that's really what I appreciate. Not the color of people's skin, but it's just their drive to succeed and their sacrifices for their children and for them to have a better future, so they don't have to be doing that. The hard labor. Right?
Hard labor, yeah. June?
But then the food trucks will go out of business if the kids don't take over, right?
But the immigrants are not going to stop coming.
That's true.
That's true.
Wall or no wall, we'll find a way.
No, what I love about this movie is that food is so universal. And like you say, it just brings everybody together. So I'm glad that you've won so many awards. I don't think, maybe people have talked about it already, but you won it in France?
It played in Paris, but it won 14 awards. Dolores Huerta got a humanitarian award too from Highland Park. But yeah, it's been fun.
Very successful.
Thank you.
And you've reached a lot of people, and I'm so happy for you. And I hope it continues and you have it streaming.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for you and how much everybody's going to get to enjoy it.
Thank you. And I would just say, going forward, if I'd love to continue showing it educationally, or probably just that for now. So yeah, if you know of anyone or any other opportunities, please come up and talk to me. It'd be great to have it out there still. Thank you. And thank you to Jen for having us here. It's been an awesome screening.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. I think that I wish we could dive so much deeper in, but I know we're limited on time. But I appreciate all of the insights and the thoughts you've brought into this. I'm getting an indication over there that there is a survey if you want to fill it out at the end of this as you exit today, to tell us a little bit about what you thought about the event. So please find that QR code. I think it'll be up on the screen above me as well as in the lobby. But we hope that this is part of, as Jim mentioned at the beginning, the Smithsonian Initiative, Reckoning with Our Racial Past. And I think that with that, we are reckoning with the good and the ugly. Oh, my mic's cutting out. And so we hope that you continue to explore that with us, explore these complicated stories. We have a few more events, or we have an event coming up on the 17th, along with our other partners, the Chinese American Museum in La Plaza. But the Chinese American Museum also has the exhibition on display and some other events coming up. So please check those out. And please return on the 17th for our Family Day, where we'll be celebrating again, our shared future here in Los Angeles. And we'd love to hear from you, love for you to continue to get involved. Please follow all these folks. You'll find June at the museum again, I'm sure, as one of our longtime volunteers. So with that, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being here. Another round of applause.